great job. I want to show you off well. I thought you were unreal tonight with this new franchise record, 30. Oh,
yes!
Yeah, that was a big win there, fellas. Let's get another 2 points tomorrow and finish off this homestand.
Yes!
Ask a friend.
Yeah, I think I gotta go with Shy.
Well done. Great game. Big win there, fellas. Again tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah, right back at it. Actually, Isak Roseanne giving the jacket to Mark Scheifele. Both of them celebrating birthdays today. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
There you go.
Yeah.
They are right back at it. We are right back at it as well. I'm Sara Lesky. He's Jamie Thomas. You, of course, are watching Check-In as we get you set for today's game against the St. Louis Blues. And we're going to have Sean Reynolds join us in about 20 minutes or so and help set up. We'll talk a little bit about yesterday.
There's a lot to talk about from yesterday.
There absolutely is. But we want to get right to the game here today. We're going to take a quick look at what the standings are as the St. Louis Blues come into town. And when the Jets finished their game yesterday, they were 5 points back at that second wild card spot. When you look at the standings now, they are 6 with the point last night. So
6 back. The San Jose Sharks, Seattle and San Jose and Los Angeles have been flipping back and forth here for the last little bit.
Then you look also with 64 points, the St. Louis Blues, something that we wouldn't have guessed.
But this is the whole thing with St. Louis. Every time they're selling off, and we've seen this so many times, okay, the Blues are selling off, looking to next year, and then no. No.
Well, and the perfect person to find out what is going on with the St. Louis Blues team that had been written off a while ago is the one and only Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, who is so kindly popping in to join us. When you think of the St. Louis Blues, I always think of Jeremy, to be honest.
Yes.
Players come and go, but Jeremy's always there giving us the inside scoop on them. How you doing this morning, Jeremy?
Well, you guys are bringing the energy this morning. This is
we're trying. Look.
You're not feeling the same amount of energy?
Fake it till you make it, Jeremy.
You guys gave me 2 things. First, the energy. I needed the little boost this morning. And then secondly, I needed the standings. I was like, man, if I could just take the standings and then bam, there they are right up.
We provide everything in the show, Jeremy. That's what we do.
Yes.
Go.
So, Jeremy, give us the quick rundown. I mean, how is St. Louis doing this? Because when this month started, I mean, they were well back, and now here they are tied with the Jets at 64 points.
Yeah, they were trailing a couple nights ago by 2 goals with 8 minutes to go in regulation. They come back and tie it, and they win the game. And I wrote my story, and the reason I'm telling you this story is because sometimes we write the headlines, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we suggest headlines, and they get changed by the editors. But I was trying to think of a headline for the Blues story, and all I could come up with was, are the Blues really doing this to us again?
Exactly.
Yeah, 2 years in a row. So, you look at the standings as we just did, and they're 6 points back. It seems manageable, but did you see that goal differential? What is it, minus 46 or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. And so, I guess give them credit. They're playing well. It's March. I think they're 18-2-2 in the month of March the last 2 years. The Blues and Jets wouldn't have played last year if the Blues didn't rattle off that March run that they had last year to get into the playoffs and play the Jets. So I don't know. Like you said, Jamie, you sell off, and some guys are playing for jobs, and you play better hockey.
Okay, so something I'm trying to make sense of is the haul that Doug Armstrong got at the deadline. You trade your captain, Braden Shen, you trade Justin Falk, you get 2 first-round picks back and other picks on top of that. Like, how does Armstrong keep doing this year over year? And I'm not taking away the value of Shen and Falk whatsoever, but it seems like the Blues just got better in some ways.
Yeah, I think so. And especially what they're trying to do. Like, we did a interview with the owner a couple days ago, the chairman, I should say, Tom Stillman. And he said, hey, look, we're on 2 tracks. We're trying to be competitive, and we're trying to retool. Obviously, the competitive track, they fell off that track. But meanwhile, the young players that they're bringing along, they really feel like are, one day going to get there. In the meantime, when you have a Shen and you have a Falk, you just hope that they have some value, because here in St. Louis, you're moving on from them.
Right.
With a Shen, his offensive numbers have gone down, but I believe, like the New York Islanders believe, he can come in and fit as a leader, as a guy who's got playoff experience, as a guy who can come in and play wing, center, third line, second line, whatever. Justin Falk, nobody would have ever guessed a year or two ago that he'd fetch a first-round pick heading into the deadline. That's how his numbers just fell off. But he's had a great year this year. And like you just said, Schenn and Falk go get first and third round picks, and it just continues to help that second track that the Blues are on, that retool.
What is it that you attribute this success to in March with it? Is there a player, a line? I mean, I guess we could also look at goaltending coming out of the Olympic break, which certainly has been on fire.
Yeah. I think it's two things. I think it's backs against the wall. And not only that, but when you combine it with your backs are against the wall and you just had a 2 or 3 week break. So you had the Four Nations, and then this year you had the Olympics. So guys got healthy, and guys came back and said, hey, we don't know what our situation is until we see the team after the trade deadline. Now we know what it is. Now you know that you're 6 points back. You know, people keep telling us we can't make the playoffs. Let's go show them like we did last year. I think that's what it is.
Okay, so another one on the line that you talked about in your article recently was the Holloway-Thomas-Snuggerud line. 33 combined points since the Olympic break. What has got them rolling so well right now?
Yeah, first of all, they're healthy. You know, kind of like I was touching on there. Holloway's been out. The Jets didn't see him in the playoffs last year because he had that oblique tear. This year, he had an injury in practice, a high ankle sprain, and missed a lot of time. He came back. And also Robert Thomas is healthy. He had a procedure done on his leg. So he comes back healthy. He's dishing the puck. And Snuggerud's the player to watch. Like when you guys watch the game today, I know Jets fans saw him in the playoffs last year and, you know, probably didn't think too much about it. He was a guy who played, the last 7 games of the regular season after he came from the University of Minnesota. And then he played that first-round playoff series against the Jets. He's in his first full season, and he's just fun to watch. He's got a great shot. Now, listen, I don't want to fall off the deep end here, but, you know, some people say maybe the Blues' best shot since Brett Hull. So a lot of pressure on him there. but the Blues haven't had a one-timer like this in a long time. So watch out for that one-timer from number 21, Jimmy Snuggerud today.
All right. Well, Jeremy, we appreciate you so much making some time for us on a Sunday. I know that weekends are never an easy time for anyone, especially when they have a family. So we appreciate it. And Jets fans, if you're looking to keep an eye out, you definitely don't want to miss Jeremy's work in The Athletic. And you can follow him on X as well. He's always great with your St. Louis Blues updates. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on, and thanks for getting my energy going. I appreciate it.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
That's what we do. That's what we do every Sunday morning.
All right, see you guys.
See you, buddy.
Bye, Jeremy.
Yep.
Jeremy for joining us. Sean Reynolds will be joining us here at 11:20. As we move on here, so we just took a peek at what's going to happen today, but we have to look back what happened yesterday.
Yes.
Because it's not every day the best team in the National Hockey League rolls into town, and you come within a minute and a bit of shutting them out.
Yeah.
It was everybody.
Well,
24 block shots. It was insane, all this stuff. And I think of Dylan DeMello saving a goal on the near post, helping his goaltender out. There's so many examples of that yesterday.
Yeah, for those of you that are in the chat right now, would love to hear what stood out to you most about yesterday's win against Colorado, and as they have this quick turnaround into it. And playing off of what Jeremy had said with the Blues, you know, you come out of the Olympic break, backs against the wall, everything. It's the same thing for the Jets, and
yes,
it's something where it has to be frustrating as a coach to see the way that they play against Colorado.
Why are you waiting till March?
Well, yeah. And how they played against Colorado. And then you think about some of the other games that they have played
Tampa
recently,
Bay.
And you go, how come if you could just channel that regularly? That's the type of game that we were so used to seeing the last couple of years from the Jets. And we haven't obviously seen it with the same sort of frequency this year. But what a job they did yesterday, rising to the level of their opponent, certainly, and containing them.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of because you just think of all the names. Like they just had a Nazem Kadri. Nazem Kadri's playing with Nate McKinnon, the top line. So you're like, holy, like what else can this team possibly add to get even better? They were the best defensive team in the NHL, the best offensive team. They had all these things going for them, and Winnipeg shut them down, gave them nothing. Obviously Winnipeg didn't generate a whole lot in the first period, but it was a game that needed everybody. So here are some of the thoughts from the game last night on that regard.
Yeah, it was great. The details were there. We had a lot of jump. We played together. very little mistakes, and you know what, some help from DeMello blocking some goal line shots. So yeah, we had it all.
What about the conversation with DeMello after that block shot?
Yeah, he wants to come into our goalie video tomorrow so he can work on his craft a little more, his goaltending craft. No, it's great. It shows how much mini sticks he's been playing lately.
You know, I thought we were real competitive on pucks. You know, we knew that obviously with their talent and skill, they come in with speed, that we did a really good job protecting the guts of the ice. There was a couple breakdowns, and Helly was there for those. But at the end of the day, I thought we did a really good job of managing the game, and you know, doing a good job of getting our five, like I'd mentioned this morning or yesterday when it was, about getting our five above their five, and I thought in the most part we did a strong job at that.
They did.
Yeah, I liked Connor's comment about how DeMello had maybe been playing a lot of mini sticks recently. I remember back from a couple of years ago with home ice, he said that Dylan had said that his son always loves playing goal.
Yeah.
Loves to be Hellbuck. So
which
maybe
is a nightmare
Caleb's
for
been
any parent.
Maybe Caleb's been giving Dylan some tips.
I think
giving
so.
dad some tips out there. Great to be able to see, though, the way that everybody contributed across there. But on the score sheet, Cole Perfetti getting that third goal, but it was the top line that led the way.
Yeah, it's always just day after day. And I remember Kevin Sawyer saying yesterday, during this homestand, you could never knock what the top line has been doing. They had carried out a lot of the load. I know they got shut out in one game and didn't get any shots on goal against the Rangers, but that quickly rectified over the last couple of days. So, you know, Kyle Connor, 30 goals again.
8th time in his career.
Franchise record, past Ilya Kovalchuk in that department. And I know it's the same amount of 30 goal season that Dale Hawerchuk had here as well.
The only two to ever wear a Jets jersey that got 8 30-goal seasons.
And it's crazy to think of. The only time he didn't get 30 goals was the COVID shortened season. So we would be talking about
underachieving, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We'll bring it up every once in a while.
That's right.
Well, Kyle, do you remember when you failed during the COVID shortened season of not getting 30 goals? We're going to hold back some of your pay on that one. So the whole, what we've noticed, you know, Josh Morrissey became the franchise all-time leading scorer amongst defensemen. Mark Scheifele became the all-time leader scorer in terms of points in the franchise history. But it's all about, they keep saying, all the guys I've played with over the years. But here's Kyle Connor on what has made him so successful and so consistent over the years.
He's one of those guys that, you know, I think players recognize how dangerous he is. I don't know if everybody around North America recognizes what a good goal scorer, what a great goal scorer he is. He's got an unbelievable release, and he has a knack for finding that open ice, and, you know, him and Scheifele with their chemistry, but that puck comes off his stick in a hurry, and you saw it tonight there, just coming down there. It doesn't take much. He just needs a little bit of a lane to get that shot off.
Mark Scheifele said on the broadcast today that the assists when he's setting you up specifically make him the happiest. Where are you guys at now in terms of the feel of your game and reading off each other out there?
You know, it's a constant work in progress, and it's something that you know, we both take a lot of pride in, and you know, pushing each other, and you know, working at just tons of different areas where we can get better, and you know, constantly talk to each other what we're seeing, and you know, obviously we've been able to play together and kind of build that chemistry and work with each other, and you know, he's such a heads up player, and you know, everything matches the speed, the hands, you know, can shoot the puck as well.
It's incredible that Kyle does not get the same respect when it comes to playing for his country with the United States. When you have,
we're going to go down this route, are we?
You know, 30 goals. Everybody does it all the time, right?
Yeah, but what would they say? That it was also people had certain roles, everything like that. You're not putting out necessarily the 12
8-time 30 goal scorer,
12 best players.
Okay.
You are putting together the 12 players that you feel
Sara and Jamie deserve an Oscar. Is it because we act like we like each other?
Because you can't tell.
This is
not
because
of our fake enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's
on
right.
This Sunday morning.
We woke everybody up this morning. Provide people with standings.
But what a job those two continuously do. And you try to find new ways to ask that same question about the chemistry or try to explain it. But they are one of the most dynamic duos in this league. They're certainly right up there as one of, if not the most productive duos as well. It just seems year after year that's that ability to chemistry and having played together with
Yeah.
each other for so many years certainly has paid off.
Yeah, and I think there was when things were going bad, there was a discussion about breaking them up. It was never occurring within the dressing room, obviously, and you can see why. Rihanna, I see the question about why Morgan Barron was with the top line. That was Arnie said last night that was due to a face-off situation.
Yep.
Yes, I could see why you were excited, but that was all due to a defensive side of the game because it was Morgan Barron's strong side. So maybe we see a little bit more of Morgan Barron a little bit later on in the top 6 later. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, matchups play such a.
Yeah.
And last game, I mean, matchups were such a significant factor going into it, of
Yeah.
trying to figure out and how you're going to try to contain that McKinnon line, which they obviously did. The McKinnon, Taves, I mean, they all have to. Makar,
Yeah.
they must. I mean, going
Like-
up against Hellebuck.
Well,
now,
Helly got Devontae's again. And Sean Reynolds asked him about that, and Ellie had a big smile on his face because, he has the ultimate save and ultimate photo from the Olympics this year. But a lot of what we consistently see from everybody in the chat is just how well the team played yesterday. And it is a little bit frustrating because when you see that and you see how and Ernie had said they have to play the way they did against Tampa, where all guys, everybody came on top of the boards. They needed them. They got that yesterday. That was not a season high in terms of block shots, but 24 is pretty good amount. 28 was the previous high, or it is the high so far this year against the Los Angeles Kings early in the year.
Well, I think it also leaves you with that feeling then that many have had that this isn't. Yes, this is an off year, but it's an anomaly. This isn't
Right.
the group where you look. Some of the teams that have struggled this season, surprisingly, look and go, okay, are they doing a rebuild or retool?
Yeah.
And do you attribute it to something wrong with the structure, with the mixture of players, or do you look at it in the case of the Jets and say, okay, there were a lot of factors that went into this, but in general, the majority of the pieces are there that next year, maybe not a President's Trophy, but will certainly be in contention for there be top 3 in the Central or in the wild card mix.
I just think I remember it'll come to me anyways. One of our guests came on, Jeff Merrick came on and said that the Jets are in a good place because of their core group, period. Like lots of teams are rebuilding, but they don't have, that's why I don't think the Jets could ever entertain that idea because their core group is so good.
Right.
You can reload
Yeah.
and add in younger players like they had at the trade deadline, but you're not going to rebuild because of what your core group can do when they play as well as they did yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. The talent is there for it, for sure. Let's see. Keys to the game. Play like yesterday. Start on time. Play 60 minutes. Lots more pucks on net. Lots of rebounds. Pucks in deep.
They didn't like the opportunities, like the fact they walk out of the first period with just 3 shots on goal. But they're not giving up a lot in the first period either. So it's almost like this feel out process is going consistently with whatever opponent it is.
Yeah.
So while they're not generating a whole lot, they're not giving up a whole lot. So the defensive side of the game has been solid for the most part. They were absolutely atrocious at their own end against the Rangers, though. And they quickly fixed that because I don't care what anybody says. The Avalanche are probably 10 times a better team than the Rangers are. The Rangers have a lot of talent, but they do not have elite players like McKinnon and Makar. And the Jets contained that. There wasn't many sustained periods where Colorado had the puck in the Jets' end for a long period of time, which is where they kill you. The Jets didn't feed into their transition game. They shut down their power play. As Connor McGahey pointed out yesterday, it's been 30% over the last little bit here. And when Winnipeg took penalties, Colorado didn't do much.
Didn't do anything, really.
So, I mean, everything that we come to know of this team over the last 4 years was on display yesterday afternoon against the Colorado Avalanche. The question is, can they do it again? And what does this look like? Is because you got Nashville here on Tuesday, another team you're chasing in the standings for a playoff spot. You have a tough road trip coming up out east. So it's about the Jets now have 4 wins against teams that are currently in a playoff spot in 2026. And 2 of them have come in this homestand against Tampa Bay and clearly the Colorado Avalanche. And that's when they've been at their best.
Yeah, the Jets 4-2 now on this homestand. They are 6-1-1 in afternoon starts so far this year. And they have this season, they have played much better in the second half of back-to-backs.
Right.
Or at least they've had the success. So we'll see whether or not they can keep that going this afternoon.
Sean Reynolds will be joining us here momentarily. Let's take a look at the projected lines. Now, this is this is the definition of projected. Because you're about to meet with Arnie at 11:30.
Yep.
whether or not he divulges something.
Short of an injury, there's no way that you change the lineup for
No.
yesterday, except for in net.
Okay. I think I saved this.
Did you?
I
Okay.
didn't get the video of it, and I should have. But Connor Hellebuck was asked if he was tapped on the shoulder, would he play again? Which today would be his 9th consecutive start. He started 8 in a row. He said, and I quote, "I hope not. One night off, give Combs one. He's been working so hard. He earned it." Which is literally, and I'm not exaggerating this, I've never heard of a goaltender say, "No, let the other guy do it."
He's played a lot.
Yeah. And I'm not saying he wouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you look at the job that Eric Comrie's done, 4 straight wins in his starts, 5 goals allowed over that stretch, 949 save percentage. So when you think of the way that Eric's been playing recently, it's
right.
You certainly have all the confidence in him going in. I did see someone, Peace Love in Hockey. I heard Colorado had to sit on the tarmac for a long time before coming to Winnipeg, arrived late.
Hashtag confirmed.
They did. So there was a lot of issues in Seattle, freezing rain, I believe. They couldn't fly out. So they were stuck on the tarmac. I think that
they did not have
said 6 or 7
de-ice or
6 or 7 hours for it. So they got in maybe around, I want to say it was around 11 p.m.
Yeah.
On what would that have been, Friday night?
Yeah.
For it, the Seattle Kraken actually were playing in Vancouver the next day, and Seattle elected to go home, stay the night, and then try to come up the day of the game. So they were also impacted by it. I
love this.
Yeah.
See, people love Sean Reynolds so much, they tell us it's Sean Reynolds time. Look at
they
that.
just know.
Or Sean's typing that in himself under the name of Jefferson Peters, 4556. Here is Jefferson Peters, 4556, joining us now, otherwise known as Sean Reynolds.
Yeah. Everyone needs a good alias.
It's like you're telling us, Rennie time? I'm here, guys.
It's Rennie time. That's what I say to my kids. Right. I get up in the morning and I walk out into the kitchen. It's Rennie time. Let's go.
That's what you tell your wife. It's Rennie time. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
We had a great discussion walking down from the press box yesterday about the effort that we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
And while not exactly entirely entertaining, it's great beating the Colorado Avalanche. It's not pretty, but this is what the Jets are going to have to do to keep putting 2 points up at the board. No?
Yeah, and it's working, right? Like you can say whatever you want about like the brand of hockey that it is, but the Jets have found a way to kind of create the great equalizer. And what I see is it creates similar styles of game no matter who is coming into town, right? So they have that game against the New York Rangers the other day, and you can tell the Jets are on the kind of game they want to play because you'll exit the first period and one team will have 5 shots and the other team will have 3 shots, right? And if you go back and you look since we came out of the break, that's what it's looked like. That's what the Jets have been trying to do and been successfully doing. They've been grinding games kind of down to nothing, and what that does is now you don't have to go toe-to-toe with an offensive juggernaut like you see in the Colorado Avalanche. And then if you're the Jets and if you can get out and score first, and that's why it's been so important for so many of the games that we've seen out of the gate where they get that first goal, early goals in a lot of cases. That wasn't the case last night, but in some of the games. And then what it does is it allows the Jets to say, we're just going to sit back, we're going to build a wall, and that's it. We're going to defend and defend and defend. And if you decide to, get a little loose and make a mistake, we can capitalize on it. Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, that line, they are some of the best in the league, in my opinion, at if you make a mistake, if you get careless, if you leave the door open a crack, they'll kick the door in and they'll head down the other way and score on you. So it's a little bit of a tricky one because I think it puts the Jets into a bit of a bad spot if they get scored on first, because now they need to open up, and that to me is the difference. I know a lot of people like to prescribe their losses to poor effort for the Jets. I personally don't see it that way. I see it as in that Rangers game, the Rangers didn't go away, right? And when they scored, now the Jets have to open up and they have to score their way back into the game. They can do that, but it also leaves them susceptible to being scored on. Whereas last night, they didn't look susceptible to being scored on. That last night, when it was all said and done, high danger chances were 11 for Colorado to 2 for Winnipeg. And that's all it took, because the Winnipeg Jets just built a wall. They weren't going to get shots through. They were going to let Hellebuyck see that you can't play like that if you're down 2 and trying to score your way back into a game. So it's the great equalizer. You can take really, really great offenses and you can bring them down to your level. But it is very important that you score first, because once you have to open up, that leaves you exposed defensively. And that's what we saw against the New York Rangers, where all those goals go in the back of the net. And again, I don't agree with the assessment that the Jets just didn't have it that night or they didn't have a high effort. It's the same game over and over and over again. Starts with 6 shots for one and 3 for the other in the first period, but it devolves into something else based on who scores first.
Who stood out for you since coming out of this Olympic break on this team, Sean?
Well, Mark Scheifele over and over and over again. You're waiting to see. A lot of people were waiting to see, okay, he didn't make the Olympics. Now his heart's broken and now his game, it dips, because he's been playing to make the Olympics for so long. All these things we assign, certain values to the player and what he values and what he's chasing. Mark Scheifele is just a guy who's consistently gone out and got it done time and time again. So, I mean, that top line has stood out all year. Ken and I were talking about it on the podcast last year. If you think about the games the Jets have won this year, how often has that line been the deciding factor, right? So when they've had success, that line's been the deciding factor. But there's been a whole bunch of games where they haven't won, where that line has put them so close to being the deciding factor. If the Winnipeg Jets had a little bit more depth and a little bit more impact down their lineup, this would have been a ridiculous year for that top line, where around the league we would have talked about them as being this line that is driving a team to where they go. Yes, you're getting contributions here and there, but that line over and over and over again is making a difference. That's been the case. They just haven't had that little bit of extra scoring to put them over the line in the games where that team just didn't go out and say, we're going to do it all by ourselves.
What about the play that Cole Perfetti made on the empty net goal? It was like the guy that he took the puck away from is a pretty good player. So it was a great move, great play.
I was thinking with Scott Arniel, it's like, help yourself. When you're asked why did you decide to put him out there, that's when you say, well, I had a hunch, or I saw him in practice, or whatever, right?
Well,
he's just like, it kind of lined up in a face-off, and we just needed to do that. It's like, well, the question that comes out of that play is, why has Cole Perfetti not been on the ice defending a lead more often? Now, the answer to that would be Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor are pretty darn good when they get out on the ice at, stealing the puck, finishing games off themselves. But boy, oh boy, if Cole Perfetti didn't earn himself another look with that gorgeous place. What I loved about it, Jamie, is the confidence of it is if he doesn't strip the puck off Nathan McKinnon's stick, he's in a bad spot. But he's so confident, he knows he's got a line on the puck, and in doing so makes a move. You can see McKinnon is quick to stop, turn, and try and defend Cole Perfetti, but Cole Perfetti is just so far ahead of him on the play. And then the way that you've got those certain players that if they've got an empty net shot and they get the shot away, you think it's going in 9 out of 10 times. He looks to me to be one of those players, the way that the confidence that he had in putting that in the empty net.
So look, it's a long shot for the Jets to be able to make the postseason. I think that it's 6% is what a lot of the playoff odds have them at right now. But Sean, you're typically one, regardless of how Winnipeg does, that stays busy during the playoffs and are covering different series. When you look across the league and you look at the 16 teams that currently would be in a playoff spot, which team would you like to cover in the postseason?
It's a good one.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Nice.
I said earlier to Jamie that with the energy that's in Buffalo right now and in that building and that fan base, that I think that playoffs there would be outstanding. But yeah, wondering from your perspective.
It's a great question, and it's a great question too, because both you two would have pondered this in your times. Like we're all in that situation where we've been, okay, well, the team that we cover is out. Who would we so Buffalo is a great one, just the way that they've been rolling, not just beyond that, but that's a long suffering fan base. That's a great fan base that finally has been given something to cheer for. And I like cheering for fan bases. I don't cheer for teams, but good fan bases. I'm all about that and want to see see them do well. If Pittsburgh ended up playing the Islanders, I think that would be a lot of fun just because it's about time Sidney Crosby got back to the playoffs and Matthew Schaefer. Some of the stories, I don't know if you two have talked to some players, but the way players talk about Matthew Schaefer fascinates me. They are blown away by an 18-year-old doing what he's doing. And that would be a case in my mind of the New York Islanders being a non-playoff team that got dragged in by an 18-year-old defenseman. What? That doesn't happen. That's not supposed to happen. So that's a fascinating story. Anything to do with Macklin Celebrini, I just would think would be interesting to, I mean, if they get in, they're going to be in the 8th spot. They're going to be a sacrificial lamb to the Colorado Avalanche. But it would just be interesting to say, hey, I was there when he was 19 years old and they lost, but man, oh man, did he show out well. And when he's doing the things we expect him to do at 23, 24, 26, it'll be, you could already see it was happening at 19. So those three right there would be interesting for me. I'm a Canadian guy, so I'm one of these guys who wouldn't mind seeing a cup come back to Canada, regardless of who brings it back. So covering anything Montreal Canadiens with that fan base is fun. The Edmonton Oilers, I've covered them quite extensively the last couple of years. I would take them all, but those are the ones that stand out.
Fair enough.
Man, appreciate your time. Somebody else, a few people have said that Columbus with Bones would be a ton of fun.
That would be an
also a
interesting
good
one
fan
too.
base.
Yeah.
There's also a number of people in there that say that they are looking forward to the latest edition of Kenny and Rennie coming out after the game today, and they hope that the headband will make an appearance.
Oh man, it came on for the first time in a while last night. It comes out when it's asked
I
for.
haven't listened yet. It's been a while.
It was in the wash, man. That's why.
Yes. I've got like 7 of them, Jamie.
Okay.
One for every day. I've been sadly putting the Monday headband away in the drawer and waiting for Tuesday. Is today the day? So it happened last night.
Good question. Hold on before we let you go. Run the soup thing right now, Zach. We almost forgot. Thank you for our viewers. So this has been a long-running thing on the show, Sean. What's your go-to soup, my friend?
Didn't we have this conversation on this show
sure
before? It was this beef and barley soup that I got at this restaurant in Brandon. We talked about this. I mean, that was the penultimate soup.
Yeah.
The standby for me is like cream and mushroom. I like that, but that beef and barley soup at the Beef and Barrel in Brandon, for all the people listening from Brandon, they'll remember that place. Like that was otherworldly. Like what? Boy, oh boy, that was worth the trip to Brandon right there.
We got to start like writing down who we've asked about soup too. That's the one thing we have to.
There you go.
Since this has been.
We'll add that too.
Did you two ever have the David Bowie conversation on air?
No. That's
okay. I'll wait for another time.
Okay.
But you know what? That's next time. This is guarantees that you'll come back on, because I know that there's nothing that you would love more than to make fun of me in front of everyone.
To humiliate you in front of.
Don't say it because we need to save it when Sarah's feeling really good about herself.
That's right.
All right.
For when you come back next time. And you can mock me.
Yes, take the air out of that balloon. There we go.
Sean Reynolds, everybody.
Thanks so much, Sean. As always, after the game this afternoon, you will be able to listen to Kenny and Rennie. Always a great listen to, either live on YouTube or you can catch them in podcast form afterwards.
Game's coming up at 2:00, 1:30. We'll have the pregame skate information
I gotta roll.
with you. You got to get out of here. Quick shout out to Sarah, because she felt she didn't want to emasculate me today, so she had high heels on. She was taller than I was, like she is right now. She took them off just to make me feel better. That's the type of person she is.
It's great to have so many of you in the chat. A big thanks to Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. Make sure to check out his work. He's always one of my favorite beat writers for years. It's always got the scoop on that. The St. Louis Blues have been a juggernaut this month. They've been on a roll. The best team in the league other than Dallas. They've got the best 10-game stretch going right now.
Ridiculous.
Into this game. So another tough test for the Jets, but they look to be up to the challenge based on what we saw yesterday. And we'll see whether or not they can continue it today. But regardless, you and I are going to be back on Tuesday when this homestand
concludes. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Enjoy the game. Should be fun. It's always fun when St. Louis is in town.
Have a great day.